Hey guys, Rich here with Brotherhood Reviews, and we're going to be talking about House of Dragons today. And I'm a big Game of Thrones fan, and I was anticipating this series for the longest. Now, as you can see on my TV behind me, there we have Viserys. I'm butchering it, and I just rewatched it a little bit just to make sure I could pronounce the name properly. But he is the Targaryen king right now, Viserys Targaryen, and this takes place 200 years before the events of Game of Thrones, and I absolutely enjoyed the first episode. It gave you an idea of what's going on at this era, because it is far before what we know in the Game of Thrones world from Game of Thrones. So with that, it's great. We only seen one, well, we've seen two dragons pretty much in the first episode. I think they were well done. You know, they didn't do much but fly around and breathe fire, but it was really good to see dragons on the big screen, well, the mini screen again. So this story really, it doesn't deal with as much corruption as Game of Thrones, but it's still there. You could tell that it was being seeded at this moment. 200 years ago is when all that backstabbing and brothels and all of that pretty much came into fruition and was affecting, you know, everybody around. Now King Viserys has a brother who is right now you know, still heir to the throne, because he has not had a son. So he does have a daughter, but he hasn't been able to have another baby with his wife since. Now they give us the struggles of, like, you know, him getting into his later years. He got a cut on his back from the throne that obviously got infected, and it's making him very, very sick and eternally. So he's dealing with that, and not having an heir is like really having the council on his back. And it's a very good display because it brings in the council, which we already know of from the Game of Thrones. So it's pretty much orchestrated differently, like I said, because there's not as much corruption. So it's like not all, you know, banners, and, you know, it's not all the flashy stuff in Game of Thrones. It's strictly the business. King here's the day-to-day of what's going on and what needs to get fixed. So, like, I think that's a good you know, step up from what we saw before, where it was you know, a huge display of, oh, king, let's shower you with these. You wanna go on another hunting trip for a month, go ahead, type of deal that we saw in Game of Thrones. You could really tell that Viserys cares about the Seven Kingdoms, and that's very, like, warming, because from what we known from the last Targaryen in Game of Thrones that ruled, he was a crazy old man who tried to burn the city. Now we get into some more detail on the lore behind the Targaryens, and I'm gonna probably make a separate video on that itself. But pretty much what happened is that the Targaryen that pretty much conquered the Seven Kingdoms had a vision of some sort, and of the White Walkers, which we all know from Game of Thrones, and said that like they needed to be there to combine forces with everybody and stop this invasion. So I believe that's an amazing hint towards to like why they came there to begin with, because you know they were already living somewhere with these dragons and were prosperous, so they took the dragons out of their natural habitat to this area. So I think that was a very interesting aspect to finding out more lore behind the Game of Thrones world in itself. And I feel like the biggest thing of this is the fact that the moment where he realized that he had to make his daughter queen, because you know his wife died in childbirth and then the child didn't make it, so therefore he had no more options, and his brother kept doing Damon kept doing underhanded stuff and celebrated his baby's death right after it happened. So he pretty much sent him off to his land and was like, yeah, I'm done with you. You can just go off with your wife and live your life and just, you know, don't expect anything from me. And he sends him off, and then he makes his daughter pretty much the sole heir of the throne. And that's pretty much the meat and potatoes of what happens in episode 1 of House of Dragons. I'm definitely gonna most likely be keeping up with this every week. I'm gonna try and keep the videos every Sunday when they drop, like Sunday, Monday when they drop, get them done as quick as possible. So I hope you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and have a good day, time, night whenever you guys are listening to this. Thank you.